Hello everyone. I meet the most interesting people in the world sitting right here in front of Angelina's Pizza in beautiful downtown Key West. It's a cold day on Duval Street. I'm freezing. This gentleman here is in a tank top. And I know that he's not from Polar Bear Land. I know that he lives in the Keys. So if you wanted to tell everybody your name and where you're from.
Everybody wants to sit with Kit.
Well, my name is Paul Wachter. I used to live here. I actually moved about 5 years ago. I left the Keys, so that's why I am in Polar Bear Land. So to me, this is nice and warm.
Whoa, where did you move to, Paul?
We moved up by Clemson, South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah, that's cool.
So we've got we have a big 40-acre farm up there, and we brought our boat servicing company that we used to have here in Key West. We brought that up there.
So I'm not going to say exactly how I first met you, but I know you mechanicked on my wife's boat.
Oh, outstanding.
You were a mechanic at one point in time.
Yeah,
we
have 45 years of doing it, right?
And you still do that?
Oh yeah, I don't do it anymore. My kids own the company now.
Okay.
So that you can see those guys on Facebook and all that stuff. But American Marine is still out there.
American Marine.
Doing great.
Right on.
Great.
How long have you had that?
My dad started it, so
wow.
I've owned my own for over 40 years, and my dad had it for 20 years before that. So, and my nephew still has it up in New York, up in Long Island.
Wow.
So yeah. And we live down here. We moved down here. We were down here about, about 15 years.
Is that how long it was?
Yeah, we lived here for. Well, when the kids went to middle school here, they went to high school here. Hunter and Shelby, they own the company now. My son Hunter owns the company now, and Shelby works alongside him. So
that's cool.
Oh, they wish they were here today. I can promise you that.
Clemson, they're outside of Clemson, South Carolina.
Yeah, it's cold as hell there. Right
I can only imagine. It is cold as hell out there.
It is, 19 degrees.
So are you retired now, or what?
Yeah, we're like semi-retired. I like to say I'm retired because I don't do anything anymore.
So what do you do on that 40 acres?
Oh well, we got chickens and turkeys, and we got.
That's big enough to keep you busy if you're farming.
It's really weird, man. We moved here, and I had a house in Sugarloaf on a postage stamp piece of property like everybody else.
Yep.
No grass, rocks, lizards, iguanas. Yep. And I could dive off my back porch into the Atlantic Ocean. Yep. So, it was beautiful. And then we moved up there, and I found this place, and we bought it, and then I realized what it's like to cut 15 acres of grass. 15 acres is clear.
Where are those goats?
It's just
it is.
What was I thinking? So, but we really only went up there to get the kids started because they just weren't going to be able to buy a house down here.
Right.
So we moved up there to get them started, and now they're very well established.
What made you pick there?
Oddly enough, a customer from here knew we were going to leave, and he kept telling me, "Hey, Yankee, you should go up to Clemson, South Carolina." And I was like, "South Carolina? I hate Myrtle Beach. I don't want anything to do with it." He goes, "No, it's in the mountains. You got to check it out because most people don't know where it is."
Right.
And actually, we live in Seneca, not Clemson.
Seneca?
If I say Seneca, nobody knows what I'm talking about. So so we. He said, "Go check it out." So we looked on an atlas one day, and I was like, "Man, this is in the mountains. I'm in the boat business. This isn't going to make it."
That seems
I'm thinking like canoes, kumbaya, campfires, and he's like, "It's not like that, Paul. Trust me." So we flew up and we rented a car, drove around, and turns out it's one of the most sought-after places to retire to, and some of the prettiest lakes. And over 70,000+ registered outboard boats up there, which is what we work on.
Well, hello, and
we're in.
And it's not that it's not year-round, but it's not that it's seasonal.
Yeah,
100%.
What you do is,
you're not like Michigan.
No. But being from New York and knowing knowing off-season in the boat, we just saved the big work for the winter and the maintenance work in the summer. So it's very similar to here. Here it's just opposite. Here in the summertime, Key West clears out, all the snowbirds go home, and then this time of the year they all come back. Up there, they all come in the summertime and they leave in the wintertime. So they're all absentee owners. And we were used to that here. We would get a lot of people say, "Hey, Paul, I'm done with my boat. Go take care of it," and they'd leave. And then up there, it's the same thing. We're done at the end of the summer. As soon as football season starts, the phone starts ringing. Hey, I'm done with the boat. Do whatever it is you guys do to it, and send me the bill. And I'm like, yeah, sure, we got a mic, Jim, whatever. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, so the kids, the first couple of years I helped Hunter and Shelby get it started, but now it's a good business if you've got, if you do your 10,000 hours. Yeah. If you spend the time like being a good rock singer, like being a good businessman, like being a good basketball player, if you put in your time, which I have, then it makes it a lot easier.
So segueing into that, I also know you used to sing a little bit.
I still do, yeah.
Do you still sing?
Yeah, I still sing. I was the singer here. Oh my gosh!
Full disclosure, you sang back at Dirty Harry's.
Oh, many times.
With a band. What was that band's name?
Haywire.
Haywire.
Yeah, I sang it. Green Parrot, Dirty Harry, you name it. Every bar around. They had the Street Fest. They would put us up there. We were a cover band.
Yep.
So, when John asked us to sing, he came to me one day, and over at the Green Parrot, and Jimmy came out and he goes, you got to call Paul. He goes, they're a cover band. We never have cover bands at the Green Parrot. It's only original, weird bands at the Parrot. And, we don't want cover bands at the Parrot. So I kept bugging him, And finally John goes, all right, listen, if I get a cancellation, you got to come. If you're not ready, John, if you say you're gonna and you don't, you'll never see him again. One day he called me up, he goes, I got a cancellation for this Saturday night. You guys want to do it? I go, yeah, we'll do it. And we did sound check, and we did a full show, no breaks, no stops, and that was it. We got on the stage, the street was full of people, we had packed the place, the bartenders made piles of money, and everybody was having a great time, and John goes, you're too bleeping loud. I go, yeah, well, we're old, brother. We're old. And then I said, you can tell these guys to turn it down all you want, but they're not going to.
We can't even hear it. So who all was in that band, Haywire?
Oh, Haywire was me and Vinny, Fleetwood.
Fleetwood on bass.
Right, he was great. Yeah. Steve
Kessler.
Steve Kessler, rhythm guitar. Yeah. Dave played lead guitar. I forget Dave's last name.
That was quite a group you had there.
Oh, and we stayed together for the longest time. I mean, we had this reputation of a band that didn't take breaks. If you hired us, we didn't stop.
Right.
We played a 4-hour, 5-hour gig, whatever it was. And I was in the Coast Guard, so I had base credentials. So every time they had that big 4th of July party, they hired our band.
Oh, right.
Because we got in. So we would play in front of the troops. And
is that how you got here?
No. The story about me getting here is even weirder.
How did you get here?
So I was living in North Carolina at the time.
Okay.
And again, American Marine, huge company, lots of people, lots of employees. We did it for 25 years. We did great. And I told my wife one day, I was not quite 40. I had gray hair. I was miserable. My cholesterol was through the ceiling. I was overweight. And I was like, I gotta make a change, babe. I gotta make a change. So I said, I'm gonna give everybody 1 year, and I'm selling everything. I'm selling the house, I'm selling it. 1 year from that day, we had bought a motorhome, a big motorhome, really nice motorhome. And had an upstairs and a downstairs, like a rock star motorhome, right? And we took our kids out of school, they were in kindergarten, and we homeschooled the kids, sold it all, packed whatever would fit in the bus, had a garage sale for 30 days straight, 24 hours a day. You could come take whatever you wanted out of the house. It was a big ass house on the lake. And they cleaned us out. We sold the house. We sold the house like 6 months after we went on the road, but we had sold the companies ahead of time. And that was it. We lived in the bus. We did that for 6 years, traveling. Well, we like to hunt and fish, and so we travel Oregon, all these beautiful places, West Coast, East Coast. We went, you name it, we went there. And when the kids were studying in school, if they were looking at Mount Rushmore, the cement heads, I'd say, you guys want to go see the cement heads? Yeah. They're like, yeah, come on, let's go see them. Yeah, that was in their book, So we'd go. And we'd go check it out, we'd go see it. The Lorraine Motel where Martin Luther King was shot, I took them there. I'm a pretty liberal guy, so I took them everywhere, right? But everywhere we went, it was hunting season, and it was generally cold and crappy. And my daughter, who didn't hunt, she would say things like, "Daddy, when are we gonna go somewhere warm?" So my mom,
I blame her on that one.
all right, my mom, who was living in North Carolina at the time, I called her up. I go, "Hey, Mom, you know, I can't go to Mexico. I got guns in the truck. You know, I can't go to Canada. I can't go all these places." She goes, "Son, go down to Key West." I go, "Key West, Florida, Key West?" She goes, "Yeah." I go, "I hate Florida. I don't like anything about Florida. I don't want nothing. I'm from New York. I don't want nothing to do with Florida." She goes, "No. Key West is not Florida." And I had nothing to do. So I bought Captain Hook Charters, our infamous charter boat row. And you want to talk about a fish out of water. Yeah. Other than my Coast Guard experience, I had no clue what I was doing. But the conchs schooled me well. They schooled me well on how it's done and when to shut up. And I learned to do that. And that's when we started the band.
That's always good.
And then my youngest son, he wanted to get back in the boats. And so we bought a little van. I went to Miami, bought a van, restarted American Marine down here, sold the charter boat, and I said, after school, I'll teach you how to work on boats, but you're going to have to learn from the ground up. Well, we bought this van, we put stickers all over it, and the phone was ringing before I got it home.
Oh yeah.
And that was it. It was full time. Like, what time are you getting out of school? I need you now. I'm busy as shit. So
we just don't have enough marine mechanics down here.
Oh well.
I mean, it's amazing.
There's you know, it's one of those trades that people just aren't. They're not investing in because it's very, very difficult to get technicians. Most of the guys that own the marinas, they don't know anything about working on them. Like, I grew up where before you could even think about selling a boat, you had to know everything about repairing a boat and a motor. And now you got car dealers, just guys with money. You know, you look at all the marinas around here today in Key West, all the good old servicing marinas that had great service departments. Some rich guy came in, they bought the place, they cleaned it out, and they filled it full of rental boats. And now you got like one or two mechanics in the back that are miserable. And yeah, it is. It's difficult to get it.
It's changed in the last 20 years.
The insurance and everything. It can get it, but everything's relative.
Yeah. You know, and going back, your mom was right, but now there's no more drifters and dropouts here. You know, they can't afford to be here.
They can't afford to be here.
You know, I mean, when I moved here, that's what it was.
Yeah, you know, I know.
And that's part of why I do this show, just to try to keep alive the memories of
keep some of
yesterday.
That there, right?
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't all have to be $5 T-shirts, right?
No, so and it doesn't have to be $500 a night rooms.
Well, you know what? I got to tell you, I don't understand it. They don't have to do it. I look at the rent on Duval Street now and what these places are going, and you look at really, really good businesses that should be there that aren't a chain.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have corporate money, and they're making a great product, a good food product. Everybody loves it, but they just can't make it because that nut gets them every time. So
every few years I kind of look at it and go, I don't know how much longer I can be here.
Yeah. Well,
you know, I mean, and I've been here for 35 years, and it gets
I told my wife, I said, how weird is it to be here and not be working? You know, we were always working. It was always like, hey, I could stop in and have time to do something like this, but then I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta do something. And now it's like, last night we went to the rock show. We went to all 3 nights of the rock show they had out there, the Rock Island Fest. Yeah. And I got a lot of old friends from there, D. Snyder and guys I grew up with in Long Island. So we went out there. We were seeing all our old buddies and having a great time. And I was like, man, this is Key West, man. This is
great. It's great. So, claim to fame. What is your claim to fame?
My 15 minutes was when I was on TV. You know, I was on Survivor.
I remember that.
I was on that show, and
what year? What season was that?
It was season 33. It was 6 years ago, right before we left.
Yep.
And
because you were like the old guy.
I was the old guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody needs an old guy, and they needed an old guy in a certain year. And honestly, what happened was I never auditioned for the show. A couple of years before that, when the reality shows were really taking off, everything was a reality show. Tow truck wars and all this. Well, they wanted to do a treasure hunting show, and I had my charter boat. So they wanted to do treasure warriors or whatever they were going to do, where treasure boats are fighting on the water and all that stuff. And they did it really badly, but we used my charter boat and a couple other guys, and we put film crews on there, and they shot all these pilots. But they quickly found out that, number one, we don't act like that because we're normal, and you can't direct or script something like that. And what I would say to them is, I would say, you know, if you did it, I'm a big fan of Survivor, and I'd say, you know, if you do it like Survivor, they just roll the camera.
Yeah.
The people take care of that problem. And they said, you know, whatever. So we got down to the end of it. The pilot never got bought, never got picked up. I forgot about it. One of the girls that worked as a runner from those guys went to work for SEG Productions, Survivor Entertainment Group, and she said, they said we need a guy from 1963 to fill out Gen X versus Millennials, which is the Survivor series I was on. Right, and this one right here.
There you go.
And she goes, I got a guy. He's on the other side of the country. He's in Key West. Can't get further away from Hollywood. He's in Key West. But he's your guy. He's got a big mouth, big hair, rock band. He's that guy, you know. And
I never knew how you got selected.
That was it. They called me up and they said, would you be interested in doing it? I said, I'm not going to go sit on a line in Miami. No.
Yeah.
And they go, no. You're going to go right to the head of the line. You're either going to get it or you're not. We just want to interview you. So I went right to CBS Studios, stayed out there for like a week. And at the end of the week, they walked up and the guy comes to your hotel room with a tray, a doctor, and he goes, I got to give you a whole pile of shots. He goes, I go, why? He goes, you're going overseas. I go, where the hell am I going? Wow. He goes, I can't tell you. And then you get on Fiji Airlines, and I realized we were going to Fiji.
Yep.
And you end up in Fiji, and the show's on. That's it. You don't get a start and a stop, and there's your date. You know?
Really?
Oh, yeah. 3 months of no contact with your family, no phone.
So is that how long you were gone?
Yeah, you have to. Even though I got
voted off,
yeah.
even if you're at court, you're away for 3 months.
Right, I got voted out the third week. So when they came,
you were there for a minute or two.
Yeah.
What?
Just long enough to. We're animal lovers, love the Keys, love the SPCA. We came here, and I took my 15 minutes, and I stayed at Rick's.
Yeah.
And we would have, we would raise money for the new shelter.
Right.
That they were trying to build a shelter, so I dedicated my 15 minutes to that show, and all the Survivor fans came and donated money, and then we'd watch the segment on their big screen, and then I would go up with a microphone and narrate what was going on.
I remember when that happened.
It was really cool. And we raised a pile of money, and it was so great. We walked up to the booth last night to go buy our tickets, right? And as I'm walking up, 2 days ago, to go buy our ticket, as I'm walking up, a girl that's selling the tickets stands up, goes, oh my God, she walks out and starts hugging me. And I'm like, hi, it's my wife Connie, hi. And she goes, you don't remember me, but you made so much money. You raised money for, I worked there. And I was like, she goes, they have your picture on the wall. I was like,
that's cool.
Hey, that is cool, man. That'll make you feel great.
We still have every year have a fundraiser here during Fantasy Fest.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
I think that was, I don't know if that was when. Now, I remember your event, but I forget when it was.
Yeah, we did that one, and I did Frankie's. I used to MC Frankie's stuff. Had the gym, Old Town Fitness. He had the muscle show here, and that was always fun too.
Yeah.
Those guys would come all over the country, and you don't realize how big those dudes are until you meet them, right?
Yeah, even the ones that are smaller, big muscle. It's like, holy crap!
Ripped, right.
Yeah, they are ripped up. They are ripped up. So I want to just pivot back to your Survivor Day one.
Yeah, man.
So during that time, how long were you on the island?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. And
I was there for 3 months. You could you do 2 weeks of survival school before you go onto the show.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
They put you through some training?
Oh, it's miserable.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of guys quit. They have alternates. They don't even get to the island. A lot of people, like there's 22, the old way they did it, there was 22 people on the cast, and then they always had 3 or 4 alternates, and always a couple people dropped out before they even start the show.
So is it that tough?
It's miserable. It's for one, it's very lonely.
Yep.
And I'm an old man, and these are young kids. These are 20-year-old kids.
Yeah.
They'd never been away from home. So remembering boot camp and how scared I was as a kid in boot camp, it was the same thing, watching these kids and, crying for their parents in the driving rain in the middle of the night after not eating for 4 or 5 days straight. And you got to wake up in the morning, it's 105, 106 degrees, 100% humidity, and we got to build stuff, so, bamboo and...
So the knock on this show, a lot of people say, oh, it's not real.
It's real.
A lot of people think that they're not... They think they're being fed behind the scenes or something.
No, okay, well, I can tell you the truth. The bottom line is, I did it.
Yep, you did it.
I was there, and it is a game show.
Yep.
And you can't cheat in the States on a game show. They actually have somebody there that watches. So I'm playing against you for that $1 million.
Right.
But what people don't know is the $1 million is a bonus. You get a check. You get paid to go. It's not like Naked and Afraid where it's free. You don't get paid anything for that.
Right.
Trust me, I didn't go on that. And I didn't want any part of that thing.
No.
So they, but it's a game show. So there's a certain time when you have to stop talking. There's a certain time when producers will step in. But the entire time, I had 3 cameras on me 24 hours a day, whether I was going to the bathroom or changing clothes or trying to get the sand out of my underwear. And even the most, we had preachers on the show. We had, chicks that showed up with their shirts buttoned up. Within 2 days, they were in their bra and their underwear, just like the rest of it. Like, this is miserable. I'm dying out here. But even today, even though the show is much shorter and so on, they're still playing on the same island we played on. If you watch the show today, they still have people quitting 2 or 3 days into it. They just quit. They go, I can't do this, I'm going home. So they waited years to get on, and they quit.
Absolutely. So to produce that show, how many people are on the island
oh my goodness.
working it?
The opening, I know there was 350 cameras.
Oh, wow.
And I would say you have 2 different teams, right? So we had Gen X team, my team.
Because you don't see anybody except for Tim and the contestants.
Right.
But you know there's got to be
what happens
people
is
there.
Jeff Probst, who's the host of the show.
Right.
We never see him. I mean, very rarely. You only see him when we're doing challenges.
Right.
But on the show itself, what you don't see is there's what's called a dream team. So when you see a helicopter shot of a guy that looks like me in my clothes jumping through stuff at a distance, that's not me. There's no cameras there. They're just showing you how that works. When you get to the challenge, there's a wall of cameras from, it's a block long. Every kind of boom camera, you name it. It's incredible. And then on the island, there's a guy with a heavy camera, they called it, a guy with a little small camera with a fuzzy thing on it. There was a sound guy with him. And then there was like 15 or 20 different guys with super zoom lenses all over the island taking pictures when you didn't even know they were there.
The production for that show just drives me...
$11 million when I was there. They had an $11 million production budget when I was on the show. I don't know what it is now, but...
Double.
Now what's $1 million, right? Now it's like... So, anyway, it is by far... If it was, I try to tell people, if it was in any way scripted or anything like that, by now...
Yeah.
Because people come off that show pissed.
Oh, yeah.
They come off disgruntled.
Really?
Well, you got to remember, you take 7 days of filming 20 people, and you have to edit that down to 1 hour, and you have to find the story. Oh, Paul got sick and fell down. That's a story, so they have to find all those things. Well, if they spin like a romance or something, and it doesn't work out, those people go home and they are pissed. And they would, by now, there would be somebody going, hey, let me tell you how Survivor really is. Well, it's not. You really don't get any food. You really don't get any help. You really don't get a candy bar once in a while. It sucks. It's very, very difficult.
And it's been on now for 20 years.
Oh, yeah, 23 years.
So you ever stay in touch with any of the cast that you're on?
Oh, they're all friends of mine, still in my phone, all of them. Yep. Actually, we meet here all the time.
Do you
really? When I was living here, they would be like, they'd always come down to visit, and you know they stay at the house, whatever. We know everybody.
It seems that there's a strong bond after that show.
Well, there's only been like 600 survivors total.
Right, but my wife will DVR, and it's that and Alone.
Oh yeah.
Those are the only two shows I watch.
Right.
My TV stays on Motor Trend.
Right, there you go.
And my desk, that's all that's ever on is Motor Trend.
Motor Trend. Awesome.
And the only shows that I watch, seriously, are Survivor.
Right.
And I'm probably 5 episodes back on this season.
Right.
But my wife and I will sit down one night and I'll make dinner and we'll watch 3 episodes.
And it's one of those shows that
and we've done it from day one.
If you haven't seen it in a while and you turn it on, you go, let me just watch a minute. And you know,
we've done it since the very first season.
I've seen them all, like you. I've watched them all. I know all the guys. And when you go to these shows, like after the show, they're all there. Boston Rob and all the people that you've seen on TV, they all show up. You know, their 15 minutes was 20 years ago.
They're still milking it.
Oh, they're milking it.
And good for them. Good
well,
for them,
it is quite an achievement unless you've gone on the show. Whether you if you're the first person voted out or you win the $1 million. Once it's over, everybody's pretty much back to square one, you know.
Right.
So, you know, it's one of those experiences that I'll never forget.
Well,
I'm super glad we did it, but I would never do it again. I would never do it.
Well, you hear a couple of words you're like, they'll say, "Oh, it's life changing," but I think the life changing is all about enter.
Oh yeah.
It's all in your heart or your head. It changes you.
It also depends if you're 20 years old. Yeah, you've only had 20 years of life.
Right.
That would be life changing.
Right.
At 54, when I was on the show, I'd seen a lot of shit. I jumped out of helicopters in the Coast Guard.
Life altering for a minute.
Yeah. So for me, they were like, "We're gonna ride in a helicopter." Like, yeah, I've done that a lot. You know, like we came around the island to start the show. And we've been in these rubber boats since 4 o'clock in the morning, riding around. Now it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We don't get watches. You don't really know what time. I'm looking at the sun. I got a pretty good idea what time it is. I'm a licensed captain, right? So I got a pretty good idea what's going on. We're riding, waiting for them to set the cameras up and get all that shit done. Finally, we come around and we hit and as soon as we came around the island, I went, I know where we are. And like the other guy sitting next to me, you're not allowed to talk to each other yet because they want your cameras on.
Right.
I go, this is where they shot Castaway. This is where Tom Hanks was on Castaway. It's exactly his island. And later on, I told Jeff, I was sitting with Jeff Probst in a dressing room at the finale. I go, that was Castaway. He goes, oh yeah, that's Castaway. That's where the island was. He goes, we shot at the same place. He goes, you get a great deal on that place.
Yeah, I bet.
It's Fiji. They'll give you the island, man.
Yeah.
Just sell their water. They'll give you the island.
Right. Well, I'm amazed at the show, and I'm amazed it's still on. You know, it still captures my attention.
It's great.
You know, I wouldn't say it's like the very first shows when it was really new, but it's still interesting.
That's cool.
It's the human aspect of it all is kind of fun to watch how people grow and change in a
it is really a human experiment.
Yeah,
and you would be.
Yeah, it's interesting.
What we went through in that short amount of time is unfathomable.
Yeah.
People that that look at it and they go, God, I can't believe that girl quit. I say, yeah, you should go try it.
Yeah.
You should shut up and go try it.
Just like boot camp.
People quit boot camp. And this is like boot camp, except you already signed a contract says they could pretty much kill you. When I gave him my contract, gave my lawyer my contract, he goes, how bad do you want to be on this show? I go, I want to go on the show, man. I mean, I've gone through all this crap already. I want to. He goes, this thing says you can't sue him. You can. This is like the worst contract. He goes, nobody would sign this contract. I go, is it that bad? He goes, Paul, it's that bad. I go, all right, I'm going to sign it anyway because I want to go.
I don't think anybody's ever died yet, have they?
No, not till after the show. But I mean, I came home with stuff living in my legs. Everybody comes home with some kind of bug, some kind of
parasite.
Dude, you're laying in the dirt. Go out to Snipes.
Yeah.
Get rid of all the tourists. Lay in the sand.
Sleep on the ground for 28 days.
And stay out there for 28 days.
Yeah.
And no fire. I'll give you a bag of rice.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a gallon of water. And let me know how you do. And that's here.
Yeah.
Now go to a foreign country where there's nothing. I mean, the Fijians, it's like, I mean, you just, even when we got back, like I got voted out and I got to go back to the Ponderosa, you know, and I was like, finally, you know, we were still you know, it's Fiji, man. It's like, there's nothing there.
Well, you at least get fed.
Oh yeah, I got fed great. They take really good care of you.
Fed then.
Yes, CBS is, you know, you're in their hands.
Yeah.
And the way it works is, I'm sure you know, but Survivor Entertainment Group is a production company, and then they have to sell that show to CBS.
Sure.
So the weird thing about Survivor is it's the only running show where the CBS executives still get the final say in the cast. So the last interview that I did before I got voted onto the show, before I got in, is I had to go to like an auditorium full of suits, and it was like an auditorium. There had to be 200 people in there, and Jeff and Mark Burnett, the producers of the show, Mark Burnett's from Britain, right? Sitting side by side in front of me in a couch. There's a light on me. I'm sitting on a stage, and they start asking me questions from the blacked out audience. Now, you take a 20-year-old kid, you want to talk about intimidating. I sat up there and I answered question after question, blah, 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 blah. But the one that got me on was, so, Hagar or David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar, a guy yelled in the back. And I was like, kind of like just about to walk out. I go, who said that? And he's like, what? I was like, stand up. Stand up. Show everybody just how stupid you are. And this is like I don't know. I didn't care. I really didn't care. You know.
At that point, why would you?
Right. I mean, if I didn't go, I didn't go. I was in Hollywood.
Yeah, right.
I was yelling at people. It was great, right? So, I mean, that's on my arm for a reason. Do I look like I give a fuck? Yeah. And that was when on the show they're like, we should probably tape that over. You know. Right. I was like, nobody knows what it means. Nobody knows. And they're like, everybody knew it. All my biker buddies knew it.
They all knew by the time it was over, didn't they? So the answer to the question.
Oh, so it's David Lee Roth. We were born on the same day. It's the only
really?
the only true Van Halen is David Lee Roth, in my opinion. I love Sammy. He's a great guy. Him and his Red Rockets.
But he's a Red Rocker.
Him and his Red Rockets, they can go rocket away, and I love all his songs. And I never met the guy, but I've seen him in Cabo, and I'm sure he's an awesome dude. But I've also met Dave, and he's a kook. And I'm more about.
Well, I'm kind of with you. When I think of Van Halen, it's David Lee Roth.
When you think of Van Halen, even though he sold more records, Sammy Hagar, they outsold David Lee Roth by like 1,000,000 to 1. But anyway, I'm a David Lee Roth guy, and great, always have been. Do or die, David Lee.
For my dime, Red Rocker's Red Rocker. He's not Van Halen.
Well, when I got all done and I got back to my room, Jeff came up to the room and he was like, now you're only down to like 25 people. And he goes, I don't know where you pulled that answer out of your hat, buddy. And he goes, they were laughing and laughing long after you left, they were still laughing about you. I go, so I'm in? He goes, I can't tell you that.
Impression. That's good.
Pretty good chance you're going.
Yeah, and you did well. I don't know. I know everything is rated.
Oh, yeah.
TV World, everything is rated, and everything's rating. I'm sure your character, if you will, ranked up there pretty high for that season.
It was a blindside when they voted me out, and it was one of those things where what they do is they do it by how many people stop watching it. Like people get mad if their favorite fighter loses. Right. So a lot of people my age, and that was the demographic watching the show. Right. They were like, they lost a big poop, and that's what they think. They think people like change it, like the studio can change it, but they can't. I mean, you voted out, you go home. There's no after me, one of the girls got voted out, and I won't mention her name, but she got back to the Ponderosa. Well, you got a bed and air conditioning and a shower and a meal, and you're going to go back to life. Well, we couldn't get her out of the water. She got off the boat and sat in the water, and for like 4 days she wouldn't take a shower. And we're at the Ponderosa, and I'm like, you gotta, she's like, I think they're gonna call me back. I think they're gonna have me come back. I think they made a mistake. So she didn't want to be clean. She wanted to stay all nasty, and you are nasty. Yeah. I mean, after all that time of sweating in the same clothes, and you can't poop, and you can't. I mean, you get so dehydrated. It changes a lot of your stuff, man.
I laugh at people that say, "Oh, it's not real." It looks real to me.
People that usually the people that that I really get into it with, because they'll question it, you know, oh, you're just protecting the show. And I go, really? I said, you know what? You should go. Have you ever even applied?
What did you make for doing the show?
Oh, I can't tell you, but it was a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you get a lot.
Oh.
You get a lot. Like, you're not allowed to say, but
okay.
Even today.
Well, you know, I mean,
it's one of those Survivor things, but it's
sure, but it's, I mean, and it's a reality show, so there's no SAG.
No,
but still, the amount of money they make, I can only imagine that you get compensated.
Oh yeah, you get, and the longer you stay, the more you get, and then you get bonuses for, like I told people.
Okay,
people
like,
say, oh, you didn't win.
An athlete.
Exactly. They say, oh, you didn't win the $1 million. I go, well, I know, but you know, the $1 million is a bonus.
Right.
I go, so I got paid really, really, really well.
I would think that you
better
would.
Than people think. When you start, you know,
I've never questioned first time I've ever thought about it was right now.
Yeah.
You know, but I can only imagine.
People ask me all the time, how much they pay you? And I go,
mean, the show's
been on, it's a lot. It's a lot more than people think. It's not $1 million.
The show's been on forever.
Yeah. They're making money, and they want you.
They have to share some of that.
And they call us back. I mean, they have hero shows, villain shows, and I am sure that when the show finishes out, whatever season it finishes, I'm sure Jeff's going to have all the survivors come out to Hollywood at some point and get together for a big reunion party for the fans. Because everywhere I've been in the world, everywhere I've been in the country, I have never gone anywhere.
Do you get recognized by it?
Oh, today. Every time I go somewhere, somebody says something about it, and they look at me, but I'm big and I got this hair, so they're not really sure. You know,
why do I know him? Who is he?
Who is that guy? Who is it? You know, and usually at some point somebody goes,
figures it out.
That's Paul from Survivor, and I go, oh. So I got to think. Well, is it from Haywire? Is it from Survivor? Is it from, you know? Because I've done a lot. Is it one of our customers? I don't know. You know,
an old Coast Guard buddy.
Right, an old exactly.
From 45 years ago.
My Coast Guard buddies, right? We all lost touch, right? We were in our 20s. Well, Facebook and the internet and this and that. Now I'm getting my old commander. He goes, dude, was that you in your underwear on TV? I'm like, yeah, Skipper, that was me. They're like, holy crap, what are you doing? Why is your hair so damn long? I was like,
I'm not property of the U.S. military.
Right. You don't own me anymore, young man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Paul, it's been great chatting with you, man.
Great
it's
talking
awesome.
to you guys. It's a great thing, and Key West needs this so badly, and it's really great to see.
Yeah. You know, and we're gonna. Tim and I are going to continue to do this as long as we can.
Well, you should, and I'm behind you 100%. And anything I can do to spread the word and help, I'd love to.
Subscribe and share.
I will subscribe and share.
I'm going to tell you like everybody else. Please come back, because I know you've got 1,000,001 stories.
I got 1,000,000 stories.
We barely scratched the surface in 20 minutes or however long we've been talking. I don't even know. 30 minutes? Half hour?
I don't know.
I'm not sure either. But I know we could do this again.
We could do this, get a couple of beers, and we can do it a lot longer. Right.
We could do it on and on and on. But thank you for your time, Paul. I appreciate it. Wherever
Thank you for having me.
takes you, have a blessed day. But before you go, I've got one last question.
Shoot.
If you were a pizza, what kind of pizza would you be?
Sicilian.
Well, there. Bam. Bet you weren't expecting that, were you? Got a Sicilian. Well, thanks, Paul.
Nice
appreciate it. Tim, on behalf of the crew and everyone, we're done. Thank you.